Good afternoon, and welcome back to New York Outcast. I wanted to talk to you a little bit today about Smith Wesson and reliability. I was listening to a chat this morning from Travis P11, which is Caliber Corner. He has it every Saturday morning. I recommend, if you don't know about it, you check it out. The topic of reliability with firearms came up in warranties. And I kind of have a little story about that I'd like to share with everybody. As far as warranty goes, I'm sure people are probably aware that the Smith & Wesson does offer a lifetime warranty. One of the questions that was brought up in this chat was, should you buy something that's lifetime warranty? Does that mean it's going to break down more often or not? I tend to believe that that's not necessarily true, that it would break down more often than not. I'm sure with some companies it may be that way, but an established company like Smith & Wesson, I have not found that to be the case. The only thing I did notice over probably a year and a half of using it, that I didn't pick up on right away, is the ejector. The ejector tends to have like maybe a 30-second of play. You can barely get it to move here, but there is the slightest movement in the click. So my point of this is I ended up calling Smith & Wesson and asking them about it after I tore it down to inspect the rear block and whatnot, which everything seemed to fit fine. To be honest, it was a little snug fitting in there, so I don't really understand how it even has that tiny bit of play. But it does. Called, asked them about it, and at the time I referred to it as an extractor, my mistake, and they ended up offering, giving me the offer to send the firearm in, which I really didn't want to do, and then they stated they would be happy to send me the parts to have it installed. And I asked them if it would be alright if I installed it myself. Any issue with the warranty, they assured me it would be no issue at all with the warranty, and were more than happy to send me out the parts. I was expecting to have to pay for something, and there was no cost. I received the parts 2 days after the call, which was pretty impressive to me, free of charge, although they weren't the parts that I really was concerned with. But they did end up sending me a new extractor, new pin for the extractor, and a new extractor spring, again all free of charge, just because I had a concern. So I would state that speaks very well of their customer service. I didn't have any issues with them, so they're still sitting in the package a year later. I would basically put it out there that I think some products like this one here, being the Smith & Wesson, it's a good thing that it's a lifetime warranty, and this far in I haven't needed anything. Again, I didn't change these parts out. I figured I'd keep them. I did offer to send them back. They told me don't even worry about it. They did explain to me the piece I was referring to is actually the ejector, not the extractor, and that tiny bit of play was within the acceptable amount of their limitations and shouldn't create any issues, which it hasn't. Now, I will state maybe one round out of every magazine kind of ejects off a little bit differently than the rest do. I haven't really noticed any problem with it. There's no ejection problems or anything like that. So I assume that's just, when you mass produce something, there's a little bit of play in there just for those reasons that you could swap one part out, pop another one back in. So, as far as I'm concerned, at this point, Smith & Wesson has pretty much been an outstanding company. They're more than happy to help me. They, even when I told them, picked up on the fact that I made the mistake and it's the ejector, not the extractor, they weren't rude to me or, didn't want me to send this back or charge me for it. They had also asked if I felt I needed another ejector. I told them that, after the information they gave me, I didn't think it was needed at this point. And so here I am today, still with zero issues. You know, I know a lot of firearm companies, you know, people say they have, you know, a hang up here or there. I assume with your more high-end firearms that have tighter tolerances, that may be more typical during the first initial break-in. With this, right out of the box, it's worked every time flawlessly. The only issue I have come across is one round, and that was with a PMC round, where the primer hole, or the hole between the primer and the actual powder in the casing wasn't drilled, and that went off in this firearm and pretty much locked it up. I thought I was going to have to maybe bring it in for service because I had a heck of a time getting the slide to rock back to eject a round. After a bit of time and struggle, to be honest, I actually took a small mallet hammer and hit the front of it carefully. You can't tell, there's no damage, nothing, and I got it to dislodge, cleaned it all up, and you would have no clue what ever happened. I did keep the round. Unfortunately, it's in another room, you know, so I don't have it right on the table here to show you. But that's the only issue I had, and that was due to ammo, not the firearm. And even with that issue in the firearm, it did virtually no damage to the firearm. None that I could pick up on. Even down to operator lack of knowledge, calling about an issue, they sent me free stuff. So who doesn't like that? Now, I'm not paid for this, I don't receive anything other than this for free, and I got this long before I was making videos. I just figured I'd bring it to people's attention again. In some cases, a lifetime warranty, I don't believe is a lack of quality. I just think it's trust in their materials and the product they make. I personally go like American made, and I like warranties. So, because things can happen, even if they're an outstanding product, every once in a while a goof happens online. You know, a machine needs to be recalibrated, there might be a bad day. If your product is really that good, I think you should have more than a year warranty. Now again, this is just my take, but the little example, you know, which is basically made me make my opinion, or backed up my opinion on warranties, an American made. Because the last thing I want to do is buy something that, you know, for political reasons I can't get parts for, or I've got to wait months to get a part, or, you know, the customer service people don't speak English too well, which there may be some confusion. Not that anything's wrong with that, but when you're in a jam, it's nice to know the person on the other side understands what you're explaining. Like, example, this ejector that I was referring to is an extractor. That's something that could have been overlooked or passed up with a language barrier there. So, and another factor is, unlike some other companies, even if I wasn't the original owner, which I am of this pistol, the warranty still covers it. Now, with some firearms, you got to be the original owner, or it's within a year to 3 years, and you know, this I could pass down, not in my state, but if I sell or whatever, the next person that legally owns it has the same coverage I do. So to me, that's a big plus, you know, and also a good selling point. Not that I ever plan on selling it. But all right, that's my little take on Smith & Wesson. Thanks for sticking with me. Please check out my other videos if you haven't done so. Also check out Caliber Corner with Travis P11 every Saturday. It's a very interesting show, and it's always something to strike ideas or to learn something. So that's the goal. So thanks for joining me. Take care.